Hello students, welcome back to Tele-Radio Tutoring. Today we continue with the chapter that we started the previous day, that is Economics, chapter number 16. Let's get started. Last class I was explaining to you about developed and underdeveloped or developing economy. We continue with the same. That is, on the basis of nature of development, we classify economies as simple and complex, open and closed, industrial and agricultural, planned and unplanned. We did that. Then on the basis of ownership over the means of production, we classified economies as capitalist, socialist and mixed economy. Then we came to the third classification, that is on the level of development. We classify economy as developed and underdeveloped, and I was telling you that underdeveloped economy is also sometimes referred to as developing economy, and I was telling you about India. India is regarded as a developing economy. Why? Because it is showing signs of development and progress. So I continue from there. Economies or countries which enjoy a high level of per capita income, also high level of national income, are regarded as developed economies, or those countries where the level of per capita income is high, national income is high, living standard of the people is high. Industries are fully developed, they are advanced, gainful employment, large scale employment is available for the people. Countries like America, Canada, Australia, England, Russia, these are examples of developed economy. They have high per capita income, their national income is very high, level standard of living of the people is high. People are mostly involved in these countries in the industrial and service sector, not in agriculture. Agriculture has very less share in these developed economies. There is full exploitation of resources. Developed countries make full utilization of their natural resources. Natural resources means land and mineral. Physical resources like machines and raw material, and human resource like manpower. They are able to give employment to all those people who are willing to work, so there is no shortage or there is no dearth of employment opportunities in this country. They are technologically advanced and also they have high standard of living. As opposed to that, an underdeveloped economy is one where the level of per capita income is low and also the standard of living of the people is low. Here, in this kind of underdeveloped economies or countries, agriculture is the main occupation of the people, and agriculture also, they use traditional methods of production. Most of the natural and human resources remain unexploited or underexploited. Why? Because of lack of capital or because of lack of technical know-how, because of lack of technology. And among these underdeveloped countries of the world, we can name a few like Sri Lanka, India, Brazil, are some of, and some countries in Africa also comes under underdeveloped economies. Underdeveloped economies are also sometimes, as I've written here, underdeveloped economies are also sometimes regarded to as developing economies. India is also regarded as a developing economy. Why? We will see. It is also known as developing economy because these economies are passing through the process, these economies are passing through the process of growth and development. Example, India, Pakistan, Malaysia, Indonesia are examples of developing economies. So what are the features of these developing economies? Now, the features of developing economies are: there is improvement in the agricultural sector, in the techniques that are employed in agriculture. The country or the economy is slowly moving towards industrialization and also service sector. So there is signs of improvement, and there is a process of growth and development undertaking in this place. So these economies, because of which the underdeveloped economies are sometimes regarded to as developing economies. Now, according to the UNO group of experts, okay, we use the term underdeveloped countries. Why? We don't like India being called underdeveloped. No, India is not. Many a times when we refer to as India as an underdeveloped economy, many feel that no, this is not right. But we define it according to the set norms that are set by the international institutions. So according to the UNO groups of experts, we use the term underdeveloped countries to mean or to refer to those countries in which the per capita income is low, and also as compared with the per capita income of developed countries like America, Canada, Australia, and Western Europe. So when we compare the national per capita income, what is per capita income? Here we have to know what is per capita income. I'm saying per capita income, per capita income. What is per capita income? That's the national income of the country divided by the total population is called the per capita income. So in full, if I am supposed to write, that is national income divided by total population of the country. So in other words, we can say per capita income is the income per head in the country, per population in the country. So according to the UNO group of experts, okay, underdeveloped countries are those countries where the level of per capita income is low, when the per capita income of that country is compared with the per capita income of developed countries like America, Canada, Australia, and Western Europe. And so when we compare the per capita income of India with USA or Canada or Australia or Western Europe, it is very low. And so India is regarded as an underdeveloped country. Now, an underdeveloped country is one in which the living standard of the people is low, there is poverty, there is low level of income, there is low consumption level, and also poor health services, there is high birth rate and death rate, and also dependence on foreign economies. And all these features are to some extent present in India, and all of this makes India an underdeveloped country. Now, most of the features of underdeveloped countries we can see are present in India. More or less, we can say it's there in India. And because of that, India is considered as an underdeveloped economy. So what are those chief indicators, or what are those chief indicators which makes India an underdeveloped economy? Number one is about 1/3 of India's population lives below poverty line. First. Second, level of per capita income is very low in India as compared to the developed countries of America, Canada, Australia, and Western Europe. There is unequal distribution of national income. There is widespread unemployment and underemployment. Huge amount of minerals, forest, and other natural resources lay unutilized and underutilized or unexplored. There is lack of infrastructural facilities like transport and communication, banking and insurance for the country's agricultural, which are very necessary for the country's industrial and agricultural growth. And because of all these indicators, India is considered as an underdeveloped economy, though it is showing signs of improvement in certain areas. Now, the next one that I would move on is Indian economy, a dualistic economy. I've just discussed with you Indian economy, underdeveloped economy. Now we will see Indian economy, dualistic. As the term suggests, dualistic means two, presence of two, dual. So Indian economy, a dualistic economy. What does dualistic mean? Dualistic means the existence or the presence of two, that is traditional as well as modern. Okay, so Indian economy is called a dualistic economy because there is the existence or presence of both the traditional as well as the modern economy, combination of both. Presently, the structure of our economy is dualistic in nature. How? In the traditional sector, okay, labor intensive techniques are used in agriculture. Labor intensive means those techniques where human labor works in agricultural fields. So in our traditional sectors, we have labor intensive techniques are used, but in the modern sector, again, we find that capital intensive techniques are also used and exist in the Indian. So dualism exists in Indian economy. There is the presence of traditional as well as modern economy. Example, in agriculture, we find that the latest technology is at work. We find that the latest technology is used in agriculture, but along with the latest technology, the old methods of productions are also used. Similarly, we have a substantially or a considerably bigger or larger modern sector, industry, and these industries produced highly sophisticated goods of international standard, but at the same time we also see the old artisans and handicrafts, presence of old handicrafts and artisans. So Indian economy is a dualistic economy. There is the presence of both traditional and modern. Now we come to Indian economy, a mixed economy. Indian economy, mixed economy. We have done this before also in the classification. Now, Indian economy is a mixed economy. There is the existence. Why we say that Indian economy is a mixed economy? We say Indian economy is a mixed economy because there is the presence of the public sector or the government sector and the private sector. There is the existence of public, that means government, and private sector. Some strategics and major industries are controlled and managed by the government, run by the government, but there is also a huge private sector. There is also a huge private sector under which a large number of industries are being managed and run. So the government controls and regulates the sector through its various industrial, monetary and fiscal policy. This we have done in the mixed economy also. The classification on the basis of level of ownership also. So Indian economy, because of the presence of public and private, so we say Indian economy is a mixed economy. Now we come to Indian economy, a developing economy. Indian economy is also called a developing economy because over the years, okay, we are seeing that national income, because in an underdeveloped country or in an underdeveloped economy, level of per capita income is low, national income is low, living standard of the people is low. But over the years, Indian economy is called a developing economy. Developing means it is in the process of becoming developed. So over the years, we are seeing that, okay, why we are trying to see why Indian economy is called a developing economy, because over the years we are seeing that national income is improving, agricultural development have been taking place, and industrial progress have also been taking place in India. Of course, there is still poverty is there is large scale unemployment is there is still agriculture, huge percentage of agriculture which still uses the old methods and techniques of production. Then death rate and birth rate is still high. All these problems are there, which makes India an underdeveloped country. But over the years, we can also call India an developing economy. Why? Because we have seen that there is a rise in national income and per capita income. There is growth in agriculture, and also there is industrial progress. And because of this reasons, we can say that Indian economy is a developing economy also. Now the next point that I would like to move on is Indian economy, a planned economy. All these are points that we have discussed thoroughly in the previous headings or in the previous class. The fourth one is Indian economy, a planned economy. This we did under nature. Classification of economy on the basis of nature. First we did simple and complex, closed and open, then planned and unplanned, and then industrial and agricultural. So Indian economy, a planned economy. A planned economy is one is also known as controlled economy, and it is controlled by the central planning authority is there, which plans for the whole country, and economic development takes place as per the plan of the central planning authority. I was talking to you about Neeti Aayog. So Indian economy is also a planned economy. So a planned economy, what is a planned economy? A planned economy is an economy where all the economic decisions are taken by the central planning authority, and Neeti Aayog is the central planning authority at present. Previously there was the Planning Commission of India, and that was in 2014, that was replaced by Neeti Aayog. So Neeti, what is the full form of Neeti? You must be hearing about this. Neeti Aayog. What is the full form of Neeti? Let's see this. Neeti means National Institution for Transforming India. This is the Central Planning Authority, and this Central Planning Authority plans for the development of the country. So Indian economy, a planned economy. Now we will see the private and the public sector, presence of public and private sector in Indian economy. That also has come under, we have discussed about classification on the basis of ownership, who owns it, and under that we have done. Let's come to let's see it again. Okay, classification on the basis of ownership, Indian economy can be classified into private sector and public sector. So private sector, I was telling you, are those which are owned by private individuals and it's privately run, privately controlled. Public sector means those which are run by the government, and the government is the sole proprietor, or can say the government is the sole manager and controller of the means of production under public sector. So private sector refers to those occupations and economic activities which are privately owned and privately controlled. Now private sectors are motivated or guided by self-interest and profit motive. And under the private sector, okay, there is two categories. We call it the unorganized sector under the private sector. Unorganized sector means they do not have a union or an organized group. Like for example, small farmers, shopkeepers, traders, weavers, craftsmen, artisans. These are unorganized sector under the private sector. And there is also the second one, that is the manufacturing units or industries. And industries, under industries also we have, under manufacturing, the second group, that is manufacturing units or industries, we also have small scale industries and tiny industries, small scale industries, and large scale industries. So we are seeing the difference between private and public sector. In private sector, we have organized. In private sector, we have one unorganized sector. Unorganized sector, here comes farmers, small traders, artisans, craftsmen, etc. And under the organized sector, or manufacturing we call in manufacturing, you can also call it industries. Here we have three types, okay. Under the industries, manufacturing units we can call it manufacturing. So private sector consists of the unorganized sector that I have written on the board and manufacturing units or industries. Now under these manufacturing organized or manufacturing units or industries, there are three types of industries: tiny industries, small scale industries, and also large scale industries. Tiny industries, what are tiny industries? Okay. Tiny industries are all those industries where capital investment is just up to 25 lakhs. Those are tiny industries. Now those industries where investment is up to 1 crore, it is called small scale industries. And those industries where capital investment, fixed capital investment exceeds 1 crore, this is called large scale industries. So under the manufacturing units, under the private sector, we have unorganized sector, and the manufacturing units, under the manufacturing units, we have tiny industries or tiny sector or small scale sector and large scale sector. Tiny sectors are those where the fixed capital investment is up to 25 lakhs. Small scale industries are all those industries where the capital investment, fixed capital investment is up to 1 crore, and large scale industries are all those industries where the fixed capital investment exceeds more than or is more than 1 crore. Now this public sector or government sector is completely under the control of the government, and that is why it is called public sector or government sector. And public sector undertaking may be under the control of the central government. It happens that these public sector enterprises or these public sector undertakings may be completely under the state government, or sometimes completely under the central government, and sometimes partly under the central government and state government also. So public sector can be under the central government, it can be under the state government, or it can be combined under the joint control of central and state government also. So under the public sector undertaking, we have two types: departmental enterprise and non-departmental enterprise. Okay, so what are these? Public sector enterprise, this is private sector we have done, unorganized farm traders, artisans, craftsmen, and unorganized sector. Now let's see the public sector. When we say public sector, government sector, this is under, it can be under the control of central government or state government or joint control of both. Joint control of central and state government. We have to understand this. So under the public sector, types of public sector undertaking we have under this, okay, we have departmental enterprise and non-departmental enterprise. Now, departmental enterprises are those which are owned by the government, like for example, railways, defense manufacturing. These we have done under the basic and key industries also. Now these comes under departmental enterprises. These are completely owned and controlled by the government: railways, post and telegraph, defense manufacturing, and these are all financed by the central government. So this comes under departmental enterprises. Now non-departmental enterprises means those companies which are registered, are government companies also that are registered under certain act passed by the parliament. Okay, it is under the government. Now 51% of the share, in these 51% or more share is with the government. 51% of the share under non-departmental enterprises, 51% of the share is under the control of the government, and that is under the special act that is passed by the parliament. There is autonomy of working. Private individuals are given, the rest of the share is with the private individuals, and private individuals are given the freedom or autonomy to work, and the government does not interfere much, but still, okay, it is under the control and regulation of the government. Now, financial enterprise are also mainly engaged in financial activities. For example, under this non-departmental organization, we have the IFCI, that is the Industrial Financial Corporation of India. Even financial institution comes under these non-departmental public enterprises, and these are 51% of the share is with the government and the rest of the share is with the private individuals. The private individual manages these industries or these institutions, and then they don't have interference, but still they come under the control of the government, and some financial institutions also comes under these non-departmental enterprises. For example, IFCI, or the Industrial Finance Corporation of India, and also the IDBI, that is the Industrial Development Bank of India. Now, non-financial enterprises such as State Trading Corporation, STC, or the Bharat Heavy Electrical Limited, that is BHEL, also we call it BHEL. These are also under the non-departmental financial institutions that comes under the public sector or under the government sector. Now, there are also statutory undertakings. You will see that some companies are called statutory undertakings. What is statutory undertaking? Statutory undertaking means those undertakings which have been established under the special act passed by the parliament, and also company type enterprises. We will find those are two types of enterprises that we will find under the public sector also. Then we come to joint sector. Okay, what is joint sector? We have been doing about public sector, we have been doing about private sector. Now we will see what is joint sector. Let me wipe this and write here. We have seen about public sector, private sector. Now we will come to what is joint sector. When both the government and the individual enter into an agreement, private individual enter into an agreement, okay, to run an enterprise or business on partnership basis, they are referred to as joint enterprise. So when the government and private individuals, they come to an agreement to run a business or to start a company and run that, it is known as joint sector enterprise. For example, Reliance Petrochemical Limited, Power Trading Corporation, etc. These are joint sector enterprises or joint sector companies. Now in the joint sector, okay, how it is, government has 26% share, okay, private businessman has 25% share, and the rest is sold in the market as shares. Okay, so we have to understand here that under the public sector, what we were doing just before this, okay, under the public sector, we were doing under the public sector, I was talking to you about non-departmental enterprises. In the non-departmental enterprises, the share is 51% is government, and the remaining, that is 49%, is private individuals. Okay, now here under the joint sector, we see that partnership, it is a partnership between the government and the private individual, and in this partnership again, share is in such a way that the government gets a share of 26% in the company, private individual gets 25%, private individual's share cannot be more than 25%, and the remaining 45% are given to the public. When I say public here, it is not government here, public means the people. The shares are sold in the market so that public can assess it, okay, and no single under these joint sector enterprises or under this joint sector, no single individual is allowed or to hold more than 25% of the share in the sector enterprise without the permission of the central government. So now we are coming to the end of this chapter. The significance, I would like to quickly go to the significance of the private sector. We have been talking so much about the government sector, the public sector and the private sector. So what is the importance of the private sector? You can turn to page number 229 also. There are the significance, the points are given. I will read it out to you. It is there in the text, so you can read and understand. Nearly 80% of the country's national income is generated by private sector. Private sector contributes to nearly 80% of the national income. That is the significance, importance of private sector. Second, it provides employment to 90% of the country's working population. Only 10% is in the government sector. Agriculture, one of the largest private sector in India, it contributes, alone contributes 29% of 29% to the GDP, okay, gross domestic product or the national income, and provides employment to 66% of the total working population, agriculture alone. Then private sector has also made the country self-sufficient, particularly in consumer goods. So we get all kinds of consumer goods because of the private sector. The entire small scale and cottage industry is in the private sector, and private sector is, lastly, private sector is more productive and efficient than public sector. That is the significance or importance of private sector. Private sector we have done, you can see the significance of the public sector in your textbook. You can turn to page number 232, and there you can see the significance of public sector. 4 significance are given. First, the percentage share of public sector in country's national income is 24%. Most of the infrastructural development, it doesn't mean that private sector is contributing a lot, government sector is not necessary. Of course, no. A country's development requires public sector. So most of the infrastructural major facilities like transport, communication, banking, irrigation, all these are developed by the government sector or the public sector. That is the significance of the government sector. And also, in order to improve regional imbalances, public sector is developing industries in backward areas also, and with the setting up of some of the basic and heavy industries, our public sector or the government sector is also providing strong industrial base to the country. So at the end, as we come to the close, few questions I would like to ask you. What is an economic activity? I did this at the beginning of the chapter. What is an economic activity? The sum total of all the economic activities in a country is called economic activity. Now, what is production? What is production? Creation or addition of values or economic values in good is known as production. Now, what is the guiding principle of capitalist economy? Guiding principle of capitalist economy. I repeat it so many times. It is self-interest and profit motive. What is a mixed economy? Just now we did. A mixed economy is an economy where there is a presence of public and private sector. And what is the full form of Neeti? National Institute for Transforming India. I hope students, I have been able to make you, give you an understanding of what economy is, how countries of the world are divided into different types of economies, and what the difference, a broad idea, or you got some idea about how economies are classified in the world. You have your textbook with you, and as I told you on page number 222, the things that I put on the chart, you can also make one and then paste it on the wall and go through it. That will make it easy for you, your understanding easy. And also everything is there. I have tried to cover it in a very simple way. Do keep in touch with the book. You have to read. When you listen, only listen, you will feel that you have understood everything. But when you sit with the books, then only you will understand that there are so many things that you need, that you are not very clear about, and you can clarify it from teachers or from other brothers or elder brothers or sisters or anyone who can help you, who is there around you. So you have to be in touch with textbook and make a habit of reading the textbook. It's very necessary. So stay healthy, happy and safe. See you in the next class.